I'm just here to explain to you why I think Guild Wars 2 will eventually come out with raids. Now, we all know that Guild Wars 2 is not releasing raids when they come out with the game. In fact, there's 32 dungeons in total in Guild Wars. 9 once you reach level 80, and everything else leading up to that. Now, that includes, like, don't get me wrong here, there's 8 dungeons in total, but each dungeon has a story mode and 3 explorable modes, which come to a total of 32, 9 for when we hit level cap. Now, that being said, they have dynamic events, they have hearts, I mean, they have tons of PvE content, but it's not enough to keep the hardcore PvEers and raiders into the game. I mean, people are eventually going to defeat all of the explorable mode dungeons, and although they said that there's only going to be, like, each time you go into the dungeon, there's going to be a different experience because of how they have it set up. I mean, random events triggered by player actions, locations, or just random in general. I mean, that's going to make your experience different every time you go into that dungeon. But people are eventually going to run into the same dungeon. I mean, you can only have a certain amount of random events before people start repeating those same events each time they go into the dungeon, and they're eventually going to get the bored. Same with the dynamic events out of dungeons. I mean, you can only fight the same giant dragon so many times before you get bored, and although they may come out with new dynamic events are not going to satisfy the hunger for raids. I mean, a raid is 20 people, 25 people, whatever, more than 10, I would say, going into a dungeon and being coordinated enough to down hard content. Now, there's none. And that's what hardcore raiders want. Once people start getting bored and start asking for raids, I feel like ArenaNet will supply. I mean, if they don't and people start getting bored, they're going to stop playing, and that's going to lose them money from the cash shop, advertising, whatever. You know, they want people to play their game, they're going to come out with new content. I mean, the game is solely based around PvP. I respect that. And if anything, I'm saying release new 5-man dungeons. I mean, without the Holy Trinity, because we all know they're getting rid of tanks, healers, and DPS. Every profession can do everything. Why not create more 5-man dungeons that are harder than the ones before? You know, I'm just saying. I personally would prefer, you know, anywhere above 10 for rating would be amazing. And I feel like ArenaNet is going to need to supply these raids if people want to keep playing the game. I mean, the PvP is amazing, and you're gonna keep the PvP players into the game. But coming to the raiders and wanting to keep them into the game, you need to you know, create some raids. People love the competition. People love to see DPS, who's doing more, you know, am I beating the person next to me? You can't really do that in dynamic events. It's not a big competition. You know? You lose a dynamic event because there's always going to be a fail-safe where, let's say, the town gets taken over by the zombies that you were supposed to stop. Phase 2 will be, you know, take the town back instead of, you know, find where the zombies are coming from and stop the source. No, they're going to have fail-safes. And being able to not fail in PvE, not something I would enjoy. I mean, I'm going to keep playing the game for PvP, don't get me wrong. But that's just my 2 cents. I mean, you guys didn't have to watch this 5-minute video. So, troll away.